Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. Afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Right on. Dennis, how are you doing?
Very good. How you?
Can't complain rather well. The program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? And how did you know this was the way to go? So that's what you do for a living, Dennis.
I'm a professional salesperson and communication expert, also coaching in those areas as well.
Nice. And I love talking to folk like you because you cannot do this if you're not a people's person. You
Yeah,
just have to have it in you. I don't care how much time you spend in school, you just can't learn those things. You just have to
very
have it
true.
in you.
Very true. Partially, yeah. Some of it can be learned, and I'll explain in a while.
Yes, everything can be learned, but you won't be feeling you won't be comfortable doing it, to put it that way. If you're that kind of a person that really don't want to be around people, you won't be comfortable.
Yeah, you're going to be surprised a little bit because I'll show you because I wasn't that kind of person.
Have you now? That's gonna be
Right.
interesting. So
Yeah.
the about the second question, how'd you get there? So were you like walking on the street one day and you'd be like, let me be a salesperson and a coaching, or did something else
No,
happen?
I got there because I wasn't the person that you think you need to be. I got there because I was introvert. My parents divorced when I was young, and it made me
It's
uh,
traumatic.
yeah, very introverted. I had separation anxiety. I had a few other things that bothered me, so I didn't want to talk to people. And I knew that that would be an avenue where I would have no choice but to talk to people. So I saw it as the solution to an enormous problem I had, is what got me started.
That reminds me, I read either I read about it or I saw it a clip, but I'm not certain because it's been a while. Jordan Peterson gave that example when there was this guy who was like afraid of being rejected by a woman. So he
Yeah.
basically went to a club and asked every girl out. And every
Yeah.
single one of them rejected him. And that kind of like thickens your skin a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the core beliefs that I found on that pathway is that the best things in life are on the other side of discomfort.
Yeah.
That's the lesson I learned in that. Well, aside from that, but the other core belief is that through competence comes confidence. And it all those came from I didn't have the ability to communicate with people. I was nervous. I shut down. I didn't want to have any interaction. So, thank goodness for Jordan Peterson. He's been an incredible influence in my life too, from that perspective, because over the years I've done nothing but get better with this through practice, through the discomfort of communicating with people. Certainly now in the digital space, as much
Oh,
as you're talking to people,
oh yeah.
it can get a little bit, it is uncomfortable at times. So these things make us grow, which is wonderful.
I agree 100%. What I love about him is that yeah, the advices he's giving are pretty good, but he's an intellectual. You can see that, but he
Yeah.
also uses like very simple words, and that's what I really love about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Also he breaks it right down to the just the basic of it. So on your humanity level, you feel it when you apply any of those tenets that he puts out. It can be life changing, because there's no dishonesty in that kind of work,
Yeah,
as I see it,
absolutely.
because you
Although I
apply.
kind of have to disagree with you a little bit. I know what you mean. 100% agree with with confidence. When you know what you're doing, you're a little bit more, way more confident.
Mhm.
I have seen so many stupid people that are like full of confidence. So that's
Yeah.
not necessarily. I think it's like in the opposite. Like the more you know, the more confident you are. But
Yeah.
as the stupid you are, even more confident. Like
Well, ignorance is bliss. So you do
good
have
lord.
that. Yeah.
Third question is a little bit tricky. It's how did you knew that this was the way to go? And the reason I'm asking you, I'm sure you've noticed this because it's quite a problem here and there, actually everywhere almost.
Hmm.
People tend to go to colleges and universities because of that stigma. You have to have a diploma to secure your future, which isn't true, and it hadn't been true for a while now.
Right.
But
Right.
it's still around, and I'm not even talking about the money those people are losing. I'm talking about the time. Because
Yeah.
what do we have now? We have 23, 4, 5, 6 year old young men and
Yeah.
women. Those aren't children in my eyes. Those are
Right.
adults, young adults, but adults nonetheless.
Yeah.
They're out there without any without a lot of practical skills. Let me put it that way. But they don't really have a lot of practical skills. That kind of a diploma thing kind of gives you a sense of entitlement. And I know because I was there. All right.
Yeah.
I was in the same situation. So a lot of them, I interviewed a guy, I forgot his name, but he mentioned that about 70%, 70, which is huge, 70% of the young population that graduates colleges and universities aren't doing what they studied about for a living. Okay, so
Right.
we can remove the doctors, the lawyers,
Right.
the IT department, architects and engineers. Okay, the foundation of society. So, and yet you can have those 30%, but 70%, that's a huge majority. So
That's
how did you personally figure out that this was the way to go? Okay, you kind of touched on it when you said that you had to go through this, to the trauma. But I actually happen to disagree with you on this one, because if you weren't that kind, yes, the traumatic experience closed you a little bit. But and correct me when I'm wrong, of course, but I believe that you've always been this guy. You just had to go through this. But this was
Sure.
always in you. Of course, I may be wrong.
Yes, but who knew? You know,
Yeah,
I didn't know then. What I needed to do is search for that person with me or find a pathway for it to come out. So that's where that came from. But why I'm here, like here and now, it's a bit of a different story than when I first started. Obviously, the sales came into play in more of a really good view that this would be the pathway I'm going to take when I realized the amount of money I was making as compared to what my college degree would get me. So it was a solid cognitive decision based on the amount of money that a mathematics degree would give me as compared to what my sales career would give me, since I had already started making before I graduated more money than my degree would give me. So it was a decision
impressive.
there. And then what happened with, you know, the sales is in almost every single profession in the world, as it turns out. So what I realized is, to your point, where kids don't realize what they're going to school for, and then even worse, when they get out of school, they sometimes don't know where they're going to go. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. One of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, because they need a skill set. People can advance in many directions and whatever, where their heart desires, with a skill set in sales, because it's not just sales, it's communication. It's understanding what empathy is, understanding what true persistence is, what persuasiveness is, understanding what communication skills are, understanding what emotional and intelligence is. So these
What's
things, I think,
overall, what's
are
to be human?
right. I mean, why is this not being taught? It's not even in a conversation. And these are the things that I think can employ individuals at whatever level they're at, in whatever direction they're going, and make them that much better. Who is not going to gain from a good communication system?
Exactly, and not to mention,
Everybody.
if you, I'm almost certain that you've seen this with your own eyes. You know, once you graduate something that clearly was not for you, you probably start working something that's not for you either. From what I've seen and from what I know so far, it
Yeah.
is impossible to do something that you hate for 8 to 10 hours a day and not to be a miserable person.
That's right.
Now, I'm okay. Well, I'm not okay, but it's acceptable to be a little bit in that situation when you're young. But once you get to have a family, children, and everything, this nastiness,
It
like it
affects
or not,
you.
you're gonna carry it with you. It's inevitable. You're gonna put it on them as well, and that's torture.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, that makes people do that. Well, and I think that's a lot in our societies too, because people do have a tendency to stay in the comfort of mediocrity. They do tend to stay out of the range of that discomfort we spoke of. If you ask people, I don't know how many you could ask, if they believe that discomfort makes them grow, I bet you'd hear most of them say, no, I don't want to be discomfort. I want comfort. I want easy, you know, and I think this is another problem that we face with that, is people aren't understanding that it truly is work. You have to put in the work. All these things take work. They take initiative. They take us doing things that we don't want to do, and do it like we like them as we're learning. That's not to say that we're going to be in that profession and stay in it for years because we're learning. Exactly. It just means that you're going to have to go through some ugly to get to the pretty, you know?
Absolutely. I had a I was blessed to have amazing college professors. Like most of them, like the huge majority, weren't actually professors at all.
Oh,
They were
really?
businessmen, they were CEOs, they just,
Okay.
went to the colleges to share some knowledge. And one of them told me, it doesn't matter how good you do in life. It doesn't, well, I'm talking about salary or anything, right? Get yourself a second job. Make sure you do something else. It's not about the money. It's about the dynamic that you will get into. He was right. I honestly, even during COVID, I still had a second job, and I'm not even counting this program that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to be diverse, right? Because you think about it from the perspective of how am I going to know where my love is, or that I'm going to enjoy doing more than anything if I don't try many things. You know, I had to
Absolutely.
learn
I
that.
was actually about to ask you that because
Yeah.
final question here is, do you happen to have any advice for, and I'm sure you do, coaching, sales, you've seen a lot.
Sure.
So do you happen to have an advice for the people that are watching this program right now?
Well, yeah, get in and do it. Feel uncomfortable. Find the discomfort. On the other side of it, I promise you, is going to be the best things in our lives. And multitude of examples I could give you. We take too much time going through them, but they're there. And I think if people look in, they will understand that also. It's there. And also just keep on working your craft. Take little snippets of it. Little pieces of work towards a goal are fine. I think people get themselves torn off track by not setting proper, minute little goals that they can achieve and get that success. That goes back to the confidence built through competence. Then you build and boom, soon enough, you're going to be in a better space than you were, which is all the goal. It's the growth, it's the movement forward. So just keep in the grind, keep getting uncomfortable, keep moving forward.
That's a perfect example. I no, because I don't talk about politics in general, but there was this European leader. I'm just not gonna name the country and the guy, but the guy was, well, either a president or a prime minister, because we got both here.
Yeah.
And there was a protest, and he actually went there. Like, okay, what do you want from me? And one of the guys, I was a gardener, and now I can't work because of you. There's a store over there right across the street. They're looking for a bartender.
Right,
It's
right,
not the same, but you can get a job just because you used to
right.
do something for 15 years. Doesn't mean you have to do it over and over again.
That's
There's
right.
a job waiting for you over there. Why are you here? So,
Yeah,
and for the record, I'm not a
yeah,
fan of the guy that said, but he was right. He was 100% right.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to argue with that. But again, that's the people, they're uncomfortable is not where they want to be. They want to be comfortable. That's going to stretch themselves to learn another skill or to change or to look like they're less than because
Yeah.
they take that kind of job rather than it's just income coming in. Who cares? That's another big part that people need to understand is it nobody's coming to save you. It's
Yeah.
nobody else that's going to be there for you. Their opinions do not matter. If you think about it from the perspective of that all of them are going to dictate your next move, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for their opinion to make you move? I hate to see that in people, and I see it quite a bit, and I wish they wouldn't think that way because the lives would be so much better if they just move past and go and not worry about what other people think. Because in the end, they're not going to be there anyway.
And it's not important. And people got, like, name calling and labeling is, people gonna name call you and label you anyway. You can be Jesus
Sure,
yourself, doesn't
sure,
matter. And
sure.
not to mention, we don't live in our parents' world anymore.
Mm,
The world is different. It's very
very,
different. It's very dynamic. It's
yeah,
ridiculously dynamic sometimes.
yeah,
And you know those stories when you go to a factory and you work there for 30, 40 years. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's next to impossible for this to happen. Not to mention, you got a factory in your city. Why do you think you're gonna be there for the next 30 or 40 years?
yeah.
Chances are it won't be.
Right. Well, and what kind of settling are you going to have to do to take that kind of job for that kind of time? I mean, really, I mean, okay, so my life is going to be to this point, and I'm okay with that forever.
Yeah.
That's a weird thought, right? I mean, it's not in my wheelhouse because I think that the true happiness comes from the growth, from the
Exactly.
I didn't learn that until quite a bit late in my life too, because the who cared about the journey? I wanted the result, you know, and it's the thing that you hit when you're in sales. It's the money, it's the big commission, and you're like, "Oh, okay, let's go. This is need more of this, and not understanding what it takes to get to that. When it dries up, you're like, oh my God, okay, there was something to this thing that I had to work on. There was something to this skill set that my boss kept telling me I needed to work on. So,
It's good that
you
you
know,
figure it out, because look at how many people you're helping now.
well, I hope so. That is the hope. But it's again, this is a guy telling them his experience. They're going to take it for what they wish. I can't push them into
Oh yeah.
certain things, but hopefully it makes enough of an impact. If we can get enough, like what you're doing, if we get in front of enough people, maybe people will change something and help these youngsters learn how to find the pathway to where they're going to go, to where they can have a fruitful life. Because right now I'm with you 100%. I don't think that's being done to the way it should be.
I almost hate telling that story, but you know, enough time passed now, so maybe now I can.
Yeah.
It's when I started the program, and you know how guys are when we go on vacation, right? We just there's a specific place in a specific hotel. I'm going every summer,
Yeah.
and we drink a lot. I'm not saying it, you know, to brag about. It
What
happens.
happened?
Okay, that's how it is. All right.
Yeah.
And there is a specific bar. Me and 3 other guys, we're going over there, right? I'm first in line. The bartender was looking at me like, you Danny? No. Yeah, well, I have you on LinkedIn. I saw the episodes. You and I worked
Oh,
together
cool.
in a call center, and I knew it wasn't for me. I left. I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I'm
Yeah.
here. We're not drinking here. There's no way this guy's seeing me on camera every Sunday,
Yeah.
and now gonna see me lying on the beach like a pirate drunk. No,
Right, right, right.
everybody back to the room.
And now you're completely going because if he sees this one,
And now he will know why he hasn't seen me.
right, right. That's funny.
With that said, Dennis, thank you for being with me and for sharing.
My
Don't forget to
pleasure.
send me all the social media things. I'll put
I'll
them in
do
the
it.
description below. People might want to contact you on everything.
I'll do it. Keep doing what you're doing, man. This was awesome. Thanks. Had a lot of fun.
Bye. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.